even if, and this is the first time I'm hearing that the federal government gave any title to them, even if it did, Lagos state government had never received any such. I have never cited any such title. And then, mind you, the federal government cannot evict you from location A and give you title to location B unless location B also belongs to the federal government.
It does.
Now, if you say it does, then let us see the papers.
Okay,
but now,
yes.
Is he saying also that they had planning permit, or that they had soakaways in these places, or how do they dispose of solid waste? How are people supposed to live here?
Well, Honorable Commissioner, we know that in Nigeria at times it's not easy to get your documentation very quickly. It doesn't happen quickly.
No, he has said that they were evicted in 2003. If between then and now they have not established a title, I doubt that there's any basis.
Okay, let's go back to Oluwatosin Popola in Abuja. Would you be able to tell us whether from your research and from all the investigation carried out by Amnesty International, you have a bundle or a pile or a file full of documentation from individuals that show that they have a right to the land in that area in Badia?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you?
I was just saying that from your research and investigation as Amnesty International, did you come across individuals, 1, 2, 10, 20, 30 of them, that had documentation to show that they have a right to that property? Forget about C of O and the rest of it. Any kind of documentation, as Friday was alleging just now.
Yeah, we were shown a number of documents which shows that there had been correspondence between the residents of Badia East and the federal government over their rights to stay on the land, and documents dating back to 1973 showing that at some point, they were moved by the federal government to that point. But it's quite important to emphasize that the Lagos State government needs to understand that Nigeria has got obligations under international law, and that these obligations have to be met irrespective of whether the people of Badia East have got legal title to the land. The international law and standards require that the state parties to a range of international human rights treaties respect the right to adequate housing of people, irrespective of whether they have legal title to the land in which they occupy.
Okay, now when you say that, can you say clearly on national television now that you have a pile of documents stating clearly that the federal government has handed over those land to the land in Badia to a specific set of people, especially the piece of land or the 13 or more or 3 hectares, I can't remember what the Commissioner for Justice said, 10 hectares of land. Can you say that you looked at it and you saw the land that is alleged to be refuse dump, and you have document indicating that this set of these hectares of land was allocated to some individuals?
We do not have documents that show that there was title conferred on the people by the federal government. And I think it's really important for us to emphasize the fact that, irrespective of whether these people have got title to the land, they have a right to adequate housing. And Nigeria's obligations to respect, to protect the right to adequate housing has to be fulfilled. It's quite important also to note that from investigation, from photographic and video evidence, and from the satellite imagery that we obtained, and from the analysis of the satellite imagery, it was confirmed that 36,000 square meters of high-density structures existed in this area of land cleared. So it's quite unfortunate that the Lagos State government is still insisting that this place is a swamp area.
Okay. I was just going to say that would it be right then to sum this up and say, in a manner of speaking, this is not about the illegality of the people of Badia staying in that land, but more of whether it is legal for the government to not do what it's supposed to do? Is that the focus of your report?
Evictions generally are not illegal under international law, but evictions, before they take place, have to follow due process. Legal and procedural safeguards are required under international law to be put in place before evictions take place. And these legal and procedural safeguards include genuine consultation with the affected people for them to be able to explore with the government alternatives to evictions. It includes the provision of reasonable and adequate notice, legal remedies, alternative accommodation, and also compensation for losses. The Lagos State government failed to follow this due process before they evicted the people of Badia East on the 23rd of February 2013, and that is our concern.
So, can one safely assume, therefore, that your focus really is on the process? It's not that Lagos State didn't have a right to claim its land back or because of the unsanitary conditions, but because they did not follow the process. Can we assume that that is your focus? It's the process you're talking about.
That is our main focus, although evidence exists that, that the Lagos State government may not have a right to the land in question. There are a number of court cases which, there are a number of suits between the residents of Badia East and the Ojora, and between the Lagos State government and the residents of Badia East on the ownership to the land. But our main focus is the process and whether the process has followed followed international laws and standards.
Okay.
Okay. Now
let's come back to the Attorney General now. I mean, of course, let's hear the legal.
Can we
point.
Very quickly look at the pictures we see there? And I'd like Friday and both the Commissioner to take a look at the pictures you can see on screen now. Does this represent the Badia that you know, Friday, and the Commissioner? Does this represent the Badia?
It does.
It does. And when we look at this, some of those images show that there are properties there, there are buildings there, structures there that are brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have said there are two sides to Badia. The side that is cleared now, it also has a few brick structures, like I showed. I mean, typically low single-story structures, very few. Then a lot of plank structures. But the point is, international law, international standards, and right to adequate housing. When we show the pictures that we have on Badia,
you're looking at this from a bridge around that, and that shows loads of properties that are brick and mortar, not wood.
Now, it depends. I've told you that the area we are discussing now is a strip. The other part of Badia is still intact, behind the drainage. It's hard to tell now which area is this, but now let's even look at it. 10
this is
hectares.
Badia East, according to Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the entire Badia East that was cleared?
No.
That's the point I'm making. Now, the allegation is that these 10 hectares of land had now 1,000 people living in it. It's not possible. If you say 266 structures, are you saying in every one of those structures you had almost 40 individuals living in every one of those? If that is the case, then the more reason that this community needs to be disbanded. It's just not possible.
All right, let's come
Some of
back.
these things are deliberately overstated.
Okay, now let's come back to the issue of, does Lagos State feel obliged and responsible, that there is a duty and responsibility to look after the weak and the poor in the state? Because it looks like that's what Amnesty International is alluding to. It goes beyond the legality or illegality of the action of the residents of Badia. Let's look at looking after the weak and the poor in our communities.
We do have that responsibility, and we try to discharge it. But I can tell you...
Was it discharged in this case?
Now, let me tell you what has happened. Now, what typically happens. Even if this place was cleared before, okay, people go there. If we had not started doing the housing project, by now it would have been rebuilt. Now, is it then to be